the derbies and stuff. And that'll be great. And also, what I was also thinking is, do we have any Lee fans who listen to the show? We'd love to get one on the line to talk about Lee's great year, Lee's promotion, and all of that stuff. So if there is a Lee fan who wants to get in touch, this week's show was so full of rundown that I didn't even bother to try and put the feelers out.
I really don't recall that
we had a few early doors, didn't we, in the first series? But not since. Not since we did a couple of championship specials in the first series.
I know of someone who might want to come on. But we'd need to approach her, basically.
Okay.
But I'll talk to you about it off air.
Okay. So stats-wise, Dawson had 3 tries and 3 clean breaks. Ridyard had 2 tries, 2 try assists, 111 metres, 2 clean breaks. Worthington had a try and 139 metres. For Huddersfield, Cudjoe had 2 tries, 5 tackle busts, 139 metres, 4 successful offloads. Jamie Ellis had 2 tries and 2 try assists, and Murphy a try and 148 metres.
There you go. So, feedback on this one. Tyler Casfan. Crazy game of 2 halves. Giants didn't cope with Lee's speed and let themselves down badly. Congratulations to Lee. Middle eights are a must-watch now as the pressure is ramped up another notch. Colin Render. Lee are showing why the Super 8s work, learnt their lesson from last year, and now proving that they can more than cut it in Super League. Leeds versus Lee is going to be good. Wilco, he said, the game summed up our season, wildly inconsistent, a glimmer of hope, but ultimately not good enough. Congratulations to Lee, fully deserved, and I made up for their fans. Brian Davies, who's been cycling across the north of England this week.
Has he?
Yes.
What, doing the Way of the Roses, is it?
I believe so, yeah.
From Morecambe to Brid, or Brid to Morecambe?
I think from Morecambe to Brid, as I recall.
Awesome.
The pictures have been coming up. I'm friends with him on Facebook, so I've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
There you go. Really pleased.
I miss Brian. I feel like he doesn't...
He's had a couple of weeks. Well, I think he's been busy this last couple of weeks.
He's dipped out a bit recently. It'd be great to hear more from Brian.
Yes, he does. He has a lot of insight, doesn't he? And this is it now. Really pleased to see Lee get promoted. Finally, the Wigan district gets an entertaining side to watch in Super League. Both teams...
Despite his comments, I still like Brian.
Both teams were sloppy in defence, but ultimately in this game, all that counted was the result. Lee have done it right this year and need to continue to gradually build. Winning the £1 million game next year would be a major achievement. There you go. And
consolidating within Super League, but not expecting to rip apart the top 8 is the sensible idea that Lee should be approaching it with. I think
it does sound like they're going to spend up to the cap though as well. So
but that's fine. That's good. Yeah,
absolutely.
So did other teams that have been.
Yes. Paul Michael Craig, he said, both my teams in the NRL and Super League have left me feeling disgusted this weekend. The Titans was because of the biggest case of refs' fault in all my time watching rugby league. Spoiler alert. But Huddersfield were absolutely pathetic. No one wanted to put their body on the line. Our forwards need a good hard look at themselves. It may be time to hand the keys to this side to Brearley, as Brough is looking past it. Not confident of staying up on that performance.
All the talk
Move to Huddersfield, they said. Play the Super League, they said.
All the talk is that Stone don't want any of Brearley. He doesn't see him in his plans and he wants to bring in some of his old Knights cohorts, doesn't he? So we'll see how that goes. But Brearley's been, and it was against the Championship sides when Brearley's come in, and so the argument of that's his level can get brought up, I suppose.
Yeah.
But he was man of the match pretty much in those 2 games that he played when Brough was out suspended.
True that. Okay. Salford were 70 points to 16 winners over Featherstone, and London were 18 points to 58 losers against a Jamie Peacock-inspired Hull KR. We got some feedback on this one as well, didn't we?
Yeah, Tim G Radio, he just got in touch with Few. So, in the absence of Diane LBW for a long time now, it seems, the one-word match reviews have returned, though.
That's it, fantastic.
Chris Macy, he got in touch as well. He said, well, I can honestly say I've never been glad to see my car fail an MOT. I'm still not overly amused, but at least I dodged the bullet by not having to be able to make this one. We haven't improved on areas that Hendo clearly marked out in interviews, and that is the most disappointing part, as that was what cost us. Those lapses, especially at the start of the second half, has plagued us recently. We've got to nip that in the bud.
Okay, so what does that do to the standings then, all those results?
Well, Leeds are safely back in Super League and joined by Leeds Centurions back in the top tier for the first time since 2005. It was good to see Chris Hill win it in the crowd at the game. He was in that Leeds side, wasn't he, in 2005 as a sort of young player making a few appearances.
A bit more hair on his head.
I don't know. He must have been better looking because you go to Warrington, it's the worst looking side in the Super League, isn't it? So
is it?
Hull KR overtake Huddersfield on points difference, and Salford are up into the second £1 million game spot of 5th position. So London probably the big losers this week, you would suggest. That points difference for Huddersfield wasn't enough for Hull to prevent Hull KR going above them. So will be interesting to follow that, because Huddersfield still have 2 tough games to come against Leeds and against Hull KR themselves.
Do you have a pick for who's going to be relegated?
A preference or a guess?
A guess and a preference. Let's see if both answers are different.
I'm worried for Huddersfield after that sort of pathetic display for 65 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But I kind of would lean towards, if anyone had to go, it'd be Hull KR.
Yeah, I suspect.
I don't know why I feel like that. I've got nothing against the club at all.
Yeah.
I just sort of feel like, in a weird way, I sort of feel like they're probably the best equipped to make a solid effort of a championship season and take things sensibly. Although I suppose Ken Davey might be
That's
sensible.
the thing. Huddersfield will stay afloat for a year or two with Ken Davey.
Huddersfield don't seem to have the interest in the crowd enough, and neither does Salford, to sustain a team at that level to the spend that they're going to have to make to show the strength to come back up.
Whereas you might expect that Hull KR, with their history of having been out of the top tier and the ferocity of their fan base,
exactly,
would have that to back them up.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, into the Championship Shield then, and Oldham were 20 points to 18 winners over Whitehaven. Sheffield defeated 22 points to 38 at home against Dewsbury. Swinton beat Halifax by 28 points to 26, and Workington beat a youthful and much shuffled Bradford side 30 points to 26. Mark.
Yeah, just to mention on Halifax, their full team might have lost, but their wheelchair team beat Leeds in the grand final to make up for the Challenge Cup final defeat at Leeds' hands, wasn't it?
Congratulations to those guys then. That's superb.
In sadder news though, Whitehaven are down. They actually go back to the bottom of the table, I think, after that on points difference. Right. With Workington beating you lot. Even a win over Oldham wouldn't have actually been enough, though, for them anyway, because Dewsbury's win at Sheffield... because of Swinton's win against Halifax.
Yeah.
Dewsbury's win at Sheffield means that they win next week's game, and that gets them into the Shield playoffs, but Swinton are still in the chase for Oldham. Points difference is probably going to work against them.
Right, there you go. The League One Super 8s then, we saw a delayed round 1 fixture being played out between York and Doncaster, which Doncaster won 36 points to 28 at York.
That's not the story of that, though. I think Doncaster were 30 points to 0 up or something ridiculous like that.
Really?
Very, a massive lead anyway.
Yeah.
And at 55 minutes, York were ridiculous.
Right.
But then they came right back into it and almost snatched it before Doncaster sealed it very late.
There you go. To win were 44 points to 22 winners over Barrow. Then later that weekend, Doncaster beat London Scrolls 34 points to 30. It was Keighley Cougars 50, York 8 later that weekend. And Rochdale were 34 points to 18 winners over Hunslet.
Yeah, so Rochdale takes second place on the back of those results. That means they'll get 2 chances to go up alongside Toulouse. They'll be at Toulouse next week. The winner of that is up. The loser hosts York the week after. The other semi-final will be Barrow and Doncaster. The winner of those games playing a second promotion playoff final in 3 weeks
time. Yeah, there you go. Into the League One Shield then, and it was Dewsbury B 12, Coventry 22. Gloucestershire Argylls were 33 points to 18 winners over Merthyr. Oxford were defeated at home 6 points to 37 by the North Wales Crusaders, Mark.
Yeah, a couple of the Oxford faithful getting in touch there. Tim G Radio, he said, the scoreline didn't reflect how close this game was for much of it. Oxford have come on a lot over the year and looking forward to 2017 and seeing how we progress. North Wales is a very good side with fantastic fans. Was more than happy to indulge them by playing Delilah after the final whistle for a sing-song.
Every credit.
Ollie Smith as well, he said, really enjoyed today's game. Thought the scoreline was a bit harsh as we did enjoy a fair bit of possession in the Crew half, but their defence was just too good. Best of luck to them next week, but unfortunately I'll be supporting my new home club. That'll be Newcastle because he's at Newcastle Union.
There you go, fantastic.
Hemel end up bottom is the headline of that.
Right, there you go. So, first week of the finals down in the NRL then. Brisbane Broncos defeated the Gold Coast Titans 44 points to 28.
Yeah, and the game really went away from the Titans with a lot of questionable refereeing calls in the first 15-20 minutes or so. The most questioned one was probably the Conrad Hurrell kicking the ball out of the hands of I can't remember the player now. Was it Carhu or someone or Oates? Or anyway, a Brisbane Broncos player that was giving us a penalty try. There was sent off as a no try.
Right.
Yeah, you got to feel a little bit dirty for the Titans after how the game went, but to be honest, the Broncos were still better. I mean, you put in 44 points up to 28, and they did get the wrong end. They did get the bad end of things, the Titans, but I still sort of felt like the
Brisbane were the better side.
The better side won.
There you go. Well, we did get some feedback on this. Colin Render.
He said, "Oh, did you want to?"
No, by all means.
No, you do.
You sure?
Yeah.
Colin Render said to and fro in the first half, but the Broncos were just too good in the second. Good game to watch as a neutral. Plenty of attacking play. And Paul Ludo Lewis said, thanks to your tip, I've purchased all the NRL playoff games for £1. What a first game too. Quite possibly the worst refereeing performance I've seen. I had to check if Joe Cobb was in the bunker. Having said that, the Broncos would have won this game with or without the help of the ref. It just would have been a lot closer without that extra bit of help. Over in the Australian capital, my Sharkies were 16 points to 14 winners over the Canberra Raiders. Asterix, thank God, well not thank God, but only after Josh Hodgson went off injured really then.
Yeah, well Hodgson had scored a try before he was injured in the 43rd minute of the game. Well. Elliot Whitehead made 44 tackles as well, so put in a big shift for the Raiders, but ultimately in vain. I think the Sharks were able to stifle quite a bit of the Raiders' attack that has excited us so much.
Yeah.
So with their experienced heads in the pack that we've talked quite a bit about in the last couple of weeks, and I think that kind of had a bearing on it. But really, the Hodgson injury was unfortunate because even though Baptiste was warming up at the time, I think Baptiste, if he was going to come on probably around about 5 or 10 minutes later in the game, would have been not for Hodgson to go off.
No.
Hodgson would have slipped into loose forward or something.
Yeah.
It's great to have a British player be that important to an NRL side. To be honest, in a weird way, but it's a shame that he's injured. It looks like he's definitely going to miss the game against the Panthers next week.
Yeah.
But they hope if they win that game, he'll be back after that, which to me
we'll see them play against the Sharks.
Makes me hope he might be fit for England. England representation, but I wouldn't blame him for taking the winter off if he's done something dodgy to his knee there.
Yeah. Long term, you'd think so.
Colin Render got in touch. He said, bruising encounter, both teams not holding back. Hope Hodgson isn't seriously injured, as I think he should be starting hooker for England. Looked pretty bad though.
Okay, Melbourne Storm defeated the North Queensland Cowboys 16 points to 10, and the Penrith Panthers beat the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs 28 points to 12. A game that saw Zach Hardacre come off the bench and James Graham make 126 metres mark. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Hardacre had little to do with this game. I think he played about 11 minutes or something, I don't know. But James Graham, 126 metres, big effort from him. But ultimately, what that now means is he can rest up for the Four Nations and get himself ready for a big performance for England, we hope. Ludo, he said, as a Bulldogs fan, then that's my season officially over.
Oh, there you go.
So, Colin Render, he also got in touch. Tight and tense game, but Panthers took their chances in the second half to win comfortably. Brief appearance from Hardacre at the end when the game was won. That actually sets up though. Well, we'll talk about that in the previews. We'll talk about that in previews.
Talk about in previews.
Got plenty to go through yet.
It's been a while since I've had a feel of someone's eel mark.
Well, we've got an Eels update to pleasure you, Thomas.
Well then, lay your eel upon me, sir.
We've got well, I know it's Aaron's. He emailed us. He said, "Hi, Mark and Tom. Trust you guys
I
are
didn't
well."
feel like being overly familiar with Aaron, to be honest.
Hey, did you see Aaron's wife got in touch with us last week on Facebook?
No.
Yeah. Well, whilst you're looking at all our listeners' pictures on your own Facebook wall, maybe visit the podcast page occasionally.
I think it's nice for them to know that I'm accessible, and that's what makes me the more popular host, whereas